Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hymanson.
And we are back here on the Purge. It's Purge Week number 2.
If you're a new listener, you can find all of the episodes at sequelrights.com, including Purge 1, which came out last week.
Yes, and a big thank you again to our special guest, Peter Gavazdas, for being on there with us last week. If you missed that, go check it out.
Definitely.
We have another exciting episode for you guys today. Not only are we going through the Purge Anarchy, we also have another special, fun interview for you guys. At the end of this episode, Eliz and I have a little chat with Nathan Whitehead. If you don't know who that is, he's the man who composed the scores for the first 3 Purge films.
Yes, he did.
And it was a great time talking with him. So be sure to listen all the way through the end of the episode for that. You don't want to miss it. Also, when I was just talking then, I almost said Tremors, because we've been talking about Tremors for so dang long, you guys. I was like, he composed all the Tremors.
If you missed those, you can go back.
Yeah.
Listen, we have some great interviews on our Tremors episodes.
We're keeping the interviews going.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Keeping that guest train rolling. All right. Speaking of rolling, let's roll that trailer.
You can't go out there. You know how dangerous it is. This won't bring him back. It won't make you feel any better. Don't do this.
It's late. You need to leave.
Traffic is building rapidly downtown as citizens rush to get home before commencement. If you're not purging, we advise you to get off the streets as quickly as possible. It'll soon be a war out there.
Emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual Purge. At the siren, all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 hours. All emergency services will be suspended. Your government thanks you for your participation.
What is this?
Tonight allows a release. America, a nation reborn.
Holy crap. It looks like freaking anarchy in the streets in this movie, right?
Titular Anarchy.
I mean, I guess, but where
That's
was
a good
the
punk
anarchy?
band name.
Like, this is the essential question
Where
that
was
I have
the-
about this movie. Where does the anarchy happen?
Everywhere.
guess.
Los Angeles only?
Yeah, only Los Angeles.
Do they ever say? They don't ever say anything like, there's no guy that runs past going, it's anarchy! The Purge is anarchy!
Anarchy's supposed to be like the dude who's got his own YouTube channel and like is saying that they need to rebel against the Purge, but he like barely is in it.
I guess.
No, well, I think they were just like, what's a cool word that goes along with
It's
all
also
this stuff?
Well, I think that this movie up front, what it does is delivers on the promise of what we were talking about at the end of the first Purge movie, where it's like, what was happening outside? Like, what was happening? Like, they're like, oh, well, that's what people want to see. So let's lead them through a series of vignettes of things that happen on Purge night.
Yeah.
With the most and then with 4 characters, we can just kind of plug and play.
Yeah.
Whatever that
we
vignette's
gotta see
going to
what
be.
happens to the ethnics this
Yeah,
time.
they're like, how many TV actors can we kill in one movie?
And again, it's Purge night. They do a good job of showing some of the not as well off people, and they're being held late at a diner. They have to work late on Purge night, and so they're cutting it a little close. I did enjoy that. I did show the kind of classism that it's hinting towards. It is funny that it just shows that, like poverty's down. Like there's nobody in poverty, and but there's still waitresses working at diners, and they must have amazing pension plans at this point because of the Purge. But there's this other couple. They're at the fucking grocery store, and it's like 2 hours before the Purge. I don't even know what the fuck they buy. They have like 2 things.
They were going on a road trip.
They're going,
so they
They were
gotta.
going on a road trip to tell their family that they were getting divorced.
Yeah,
right.
White
because you
privilege.
gotta do that face to face.
Yeah.
It's important.
on Purge night.
There's no time for FaceTime.
Yeah.
In 2014. They got to go face.
You got to go, oh, what, we got an hour before the Purge? Yeah, let's go get some fucking knickknacks at the store.
Stop by at Whole Foods.
Yeah. It'll be fine. Take the car that needs to be repaired. I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said about the TV actors, these two people are the guy from Friday Night Lights,
Zach Gilford,
and the Nikki from Lost. Again,
is it Kylie Sanchez?
Kylie, whatever. The mom from Benji.
That's right. She's back.
We got her back.
She's making the franchise rounds.
That's right.
They are married in real life.
Yeah, I thought that
I
was
did
a
not
cool
know
little,
that.
Yeah,
cool little tidbit. I mean, that's got to be messed up to.
Were they thinking about divorcing?
I know, that's what I was like going to say. It's got to be messed up to be like, all right, you're going to play a couple that's about to split up.
This isn't going to work.
Yeah. I just can't do it. I know I'm an actor, but I love my wife.
that's how you like work it out, so you don't have to get divorced in real life. You just like do it in an improv class or in a film.
You can work it out. You can work it out at work.
Yeah,
That always seems like a good idea.
And then at the summer box office while teenagers are making out to your
That's right.
oh god.
So so we've got that couple. We've
Yep.
got Ava Sanchez. You talked about her already. She was at the diner
Yes.
trying to get a raise from her boss.
And her daughter, Callie.
Yep, her daughter Callie. And then we've also got mysterious strongman Leo Barnes.
Not Bloody Stranger.
Not Bloody Stranger.
Frank Grillo, yeah.
Frank Grillo.
Ooh.
That was like the one person that when I told people we were doing the Purge, they were like, yeah, Frank Grillo. And so like, I was like, oh, he's not even in the first movie, but he's the one that people remember, I guess.
Frank Grillo.
Which is like, he should be Frank Grillo in this movie. Like, it's a cool name.
Yeah. That is a
Also,
really
I totally thought that him and John Bernthal were the same person. Like, I was like, oh yeah, Frank Grillo, like the guy from Captain America and the accountant. And people were like, no.
wrong, dude.
Well, he is in Captain America.
I know, but he's not in the accountant.
Oh,
That's
got
the
it.
other one. Yeah. I thought it was the same guy this whole time.
He is not.
I asked that. I was like, wait, am I wrong?
No.
No, you're right. You're right. So he's kind of, he's the guy, he's going out on Purge night to settle a score, a mysterious score that we don't know. He's got photos of some dude and a lady. Is he going to kill the dude? Going to kill the lady? I don't know.
He's loading up guns and aiming them at the walls. Make it like, a guy's super serious when he puts a magazine in a gun and then aims down the sights real cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he knows how to use that.
And he's like putting on bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
And he's like telling his wife or whoever comes to the door, like,
His ex-wife.
I have to do this tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight's the only night.
It's very, it's very tropey. It's like looking wistfully at a picture of a kid. You got an ex-wife being like, "Don't do this." And like, it's pretty obvious what's going on here.
It's dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Yeah. And then, so our diner friend makes it back to her house, and we get introduced to the final member of her family. Her father.
Oh my gosh. I actually kind of like this plot point.
It's great.
This is Papa Rico.
Papa Rico.
Papa Rico.
It's
Sanchez.
another guy who's been in like everything, but I forgot to look it up. Yeah.
John Beasley is his name.
Okay.
And so kind of what we've heard through everything else that's going on is that he needs medicine. He's dying. And the reason that she was asking for the raise was to get the medicine. And she didn't get the raise when she gets back. It seems that you can tell that her daughter kind of is the smart one and she, like, tries to like kind of run and manage both of their lives. And
she's anti-Purge. She's the one watching the anarchist YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And it makes it clear that the dad doesn't want to even take the pills because he's like, no, they don't do anything. I don't need them. Like it's they're not doing anything.
The anarchist YouTube videos starring Michael K. Williams,
yes,
of the Wire fame, being a super badass like Black Panther type. Carmelo Johns, I think was his name.
Some good names.
Yeah, great names. But he's on there like spouting anti-Purge stuff, and it's pretty cool.
I think it's about the rich people. It's not about us.
The poor people are the ones who get killed.
Yeah, it's kind of all the stuff that they were hinting at in the first movie that he's just screaming at YouTube.
Yeah. So, they're all prepping to survive another Purge night. And then we see a shot of like, we see a shot of Papa Rico outside their apartment getting into a limo. And I was like, you don't really know what's going on. But at first I was like, what the fuck? Is he
Well-
like a secret millionaire?
Well,
And he's like,
what he says is he's like, don't even wake me. Like I'm gonna sleep all through Purge night. I hate this crazy night.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was going to like be with the freedom fighter people or whatever, but
I
no.
had two thoughts at this time. I was like, either he's part of the, like he's head of the resistance,
Yeah.
yeah.
or he just sold his body away to some weird rich people.
Dang, I did not have that thought.
Me neither, but you were so correct.
Yeah.
Option B. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
But like I thought it was gonna be like cultists of some kind, not just like they just really believe in the Purge.
Yeah, well, this movie is cool because we kind of get to learn a little bit more about how the rich people spend the Purge night. Because, you know, from the previous film, we've only seen people kind of like running around in the streets and you assume people get their houses broken into or something. Now we learn that rich people pay people who are dying or
really people that just want money.
Yeah,
I doubt
or
they care about your
destitute.
health.
Well, I mean, they make a reference like that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, they buy people
Well,
who
no,
are sick.
I don't. I think that some of them are like so. The thing that makes clear, and it's kind of the world building in the Purge universe, is that there is a religious component to the Purge. As much as the economic stuff and everything else, they say
Just
it's a good
like our
idea.
real government.
Yep, it's good policy, but it becomes clear that the people that believe in the new founding fathers that buy into their whole thing believe that it is a spiritual thing to cleanse yourself of the hate and violence within you, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
And so to cleanse themselves for the new founding fathers, to cleanse themselves in front of God, they find people to kill to get those aggressions out. And so some of those people, they believe they're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
They think
if
that
you're
they're
rich
actually
and
looking,
lazy.
they're actually looking for sick people and they want to pay for it. And so that's them saying, oh, well, you know what? My hands are clean.
It also gives them an opportunity
It's all right.
to do it in the safety of their rich people's
Yes,
house.
absolutely.
So that nothing goes wrong.
Full of plastic.
So it's not only an economic, you know, there's something about the Purge idea where it could be, you know, like Thanos of you know what, it's just population control, it's straight numbers, it's just something we have to do, but it is something that is pure and right about it, and they really lean into that in this movie.
Yeah.
Did you notice that they show a clip of one of the like new founding fathers talking on TV, and his name was Donald Talbot, and I was like, because like this came out in 2014, and I was like, ugh.
I thought the same thing. I was like, too close, stop it. So yeah, the Purge is on, and almost immediately, Ava and her daughter Callie are in some big trouble.
It's like really gross. Like
It's super gross.
they're superintendent of the apartment building, or wait, I'm like the super. Yeah,
No, I think
he
it's just
comes.
I think he might just be a neighbor.
Anyway,
Yeah.
some dude,
Some creep.
he comes and he's basically saying he's gonna like rape both of them.
Well,
and
like-
in graphic detail, which is disgusting.
There was a great scene that happened like a little bit before this, but kind of plays into where
Yeah.
she's walking home and there's all these guys trying to give her guns and like, hey, you need some protection. Hey, and she's fine going through it. She gets back to her building and this guy hits on her again. And like his whole thing is like, I say hi to you every day. Like you treat me like I'm nothing. Like now it's my night. Like I'm gonna rape you and your daughter.
Who does that sound like? All the
Incel,
No, it's exactly that. And it's
yeah, I thought that was real gross. That whole scene.
they make him as grotesque as possible.
Yeah, he's
like
got
they have
yellow
black
teeth.
lights on to make his teeth.
It's
more
real
yellow.
gross. Yeah. So this guy, Noel Guglielmi or Noel G, I like only the things I recognized him from were like he's one of the cooks on Fresh Off the Boat at their family restaurant, and he's like nice and cool in that one. And then he's like one of the side people in the Fast and the Furious franchise, Cousin Hector, whatever, one of those people.
That's right.
And so
Corona buddy number 5.
I was like, okay, let me see like what this guy's up to. And I look at his thing, and he's like actually kind of like Danny Trejo. He was like abandoned as an orphan and got in gangs and became a criminal or whatever. And now he like, became an actor and is like basically plays Southern California gang members all the time. And he actually goes around to schools and talks about how you shouldn't be in gangs and stuff. But this guy had 180 credits on IMDb,
Oh my God.
including 25 right now that are just like in post-production or pre-production, like coming out in the next 2 years. And And how many times do you think he has played
I was going to say
thug/gangster?
If you did an Apple F on that page, how many?
I did. I sure did.
Okay.
So how many times has he played an unnamed thug or gangster?
Out of how many?
Out of 180.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm going to go with 56.
Oh, no, it's lower. It's lower than that, yeah. Because a lot of them do have names.
Okay.
Well,
I thought it would be some crazy number.
Yeah. 30.
No, it's only 11, but
That's not that many.
it's still a lot. Okay, so how many times do you think he's played someone named Hector? Which is his name in both Fresh Off the Boat and Fast and the Furious.
6.
I'm going to guess 12.
7. Damn it. And then coming in at third place with 4 each are Angel, Jose, Diego, which he is in this movie, and Flaco with 4 each.
Oh my god! Next time we should absolutely do this with these character actors because we're gonna run into them a Family Feud style of how many times
IMDb says
number one on the board. Character actor feud. It's coming to a future episode.
Oh, that sounds fun.
So yeah, he's a character actor who pretty much exclusively plays Southern California or, Latino gang members. Or, just other people that look like that. But yeah, he's really gross in this, which is just weird because I've seen him be kind of like a cuddly, Hispanic guy in these other roles.
He doesn't lick the family's face and Fresh Off the Boat.
Oh, so gross. When he did that, I was like, this is disgusting.
I know, anything like that is
and so they only make it away from him because,
well, as they're kind of cutting back and forth, right? Because our other two protagonists are kind of in their own,
wandering around downtown.
They're in their own bit of trouble because a group cut their car line and they're out on the streets running around. So this
White
beginning
people
part,
panic.
are cutting back and forth between them being stuck, and then we also see some other things going around in the Purge that are that man has a Gatling gun.
Yes.
It's pretty silly too because they get stopped on the 4th Street Bridge over the LA River. That's where they start. And then so they run into downtown, which is 2 or 3 miles away, by the way. And then they're wandering around downtown and they're all scared because they're this is where everybody comes to purge. And it's nobody would go there to purge. There's literally no one in downtown after 8 p.m. If you want to go where everyone's going to purge, you should probably go to Santa Monica or West Hollywood. No one's going to purge downtown because literally nobody lives there. Stupid.
Yeah. People do get drived around in their big old semis though. Downtown.
They do.
There's a character called Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Who's hey, drive me around in my semi so you can open up the back of the door and I can shoot people with a Gatling gun.
And my American flag dad hat.
Yeah. I'm going to dress like a butcher, too, for no reason.
So those are kind of all the elements. And it does a pretty good job of balancing, cutting back and forth between them. The people that are tracking our white couple are these skater hoodlums with their faces painted. Kind of a little bit more like the crazies in the first movie.
Yeah, they've got all creepy masks.
Yep.
They're like Masks 2.0.
Yep.
One guy keeps waving at him with a machete.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
That thing.
How else are you going to get their attention?
He's
skating backwards.
He's slow motion hey, I see you.
So the Big Daddy crew basically breaks into the apartment building as well. And that's the only reason that Ava and Callie are saved from Diego.
Yeah, this Big Daddy guy basically has an army of trained...
Yeah, he has the Raccoon City PD.
Yeah, fully armored military guys with him. And I'm who are these dudes that are just I'll go be your crony
it's
for
crazy.
the night. Yeah.
And then and there's a brief reprieve where they're saved. This is a security force. This is something that they pay for. And then they're immediately bound and gagged and dragged down the stairs.
And so at this point, we've seen the first movie already, and we learn now that this is just going to be a pattern forever.
Yeah.
It's one person's threatening you, and you're like, oh, God, I'm about to die. And then all of a sudden, somebody saves you, and then they're like, no, I didn't save you. I'm going to kill you, too. And then the whole cycle goes again and again and again.
No, it's my turn to purge. Yeah, it's my turn to purge. Yeah. That's so great, so great. But this is where we start to have... Convergence.
Yeah. About 33 minutes in, I wrote it down. That's when they all come together.
When worlds collide.
Aww. So Frank Grillo this entire time has been out patrolling in his sweet-ass Charger or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's just kind of rolling around. It's like...
He's got like an armored car.
He has an armored car. It's pretty dope. When it reveals where he's going, he could have just driven straight there.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like, clearly he was out doing a very specific purge, but I don't get why he's just kind of patrolling the area.
I think he was trying to he wasn't fully committed to doing it.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
He's got to have some drive time to think.
Yeah, that's right. You got to listen to some
no better time to think than during the purge.
He starts feeling guilty because he basically sees these two women being dragged into this truck.
Yeah. And they're screaming bloody murder.
And he does do a good anti-hero, just like, nope. Like, he's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Like, just drive away. Drive away.
Don't do it, Frank.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Grillo?
I mean Leo.
Grillo, stop. Stop it. Don't you open that door.
Don't cock that gun, Grillo.
Don't do it, Grillo. Don't. Love only hurts.
So I do give the movie credit because while he gets out and he goes to save them as Grillo, it's Grillo. You know he's going to save them.
Yeah.
I thought that we were going to get a lot more intercutting between these two separate groups, and immediately the white folks run and his car's open and hide in the back seat.
Yeah, they're also there for some reason.
Yeah, so it's like all right, like you know who everybody is. All right, we're just putting them together now. Now they're a team, and we're going to go through the rest of the movie.
Yep.
And I did kind of appreciate I appreciate them taking the time to have us get to know them.
Yeah.
And then also just being like, we know what type of movie this is. Get in the car.
Now they're on the run during the purge.
And so Grillo then kills like 6 dudes of those fully armored guys.
Yep.
And then shoots this Big Daddy character in a way that you think he would be dead.
Yeah. I thought he was dead for sure.
But... Grillo is like the ultimate, like he is Snake Plissken in this movie. Like he is the ultimate like soldier of fortune badass.
Mm-hmm.
That man double taps. Like I'm that man shoots that dude in the head.
Yeah, he should have. Because Big Daddy's still alive.
Spoiler alert.
And he now is super pissed off and like
specifically gonna go for them for revenge.
Yeah, exactly. He gets a few shots off on them before they drive off in their car.
Yep. So yeah, they all get in after the car after a moment of him being like, "Who the fuck are you? I'll shoot you. Get out of the car." They're like, we don't have anywhere to go. We're good people. And then
we're just a scared white couple. We're yuppies. Leave us alone.
And then we start a long tradition of the daughter not being able to shut up.
What does she say?
The thing that she says the most is, "Are you going to leave us?"
He left us. Yeah.
Are you my new daddy?
Every 2 minutes, like, are you just going to go?
Yeah.
Isn't that is it Jurassic Park where she's like, he left us?
Yeah, that's Jurassic Park. Yeah. That's what I was doing.
That is the dimension of her character. So they're in the car. They're driving around.
The car breaks down, right? And they have to get out.
The car got fucked up after Big Daddy woke up from his mere flesh wound.
Gatling guns.
And Gatling guns his bulletproof car. They get out alive, but the engine is shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Is this when they're wandering around downtown? It just kind of like goes on. Yeah. I had trouble like.
There's a really cool part, at least that I thought.
Oh, the trap is awesome.
Yes, the trap.
Yeah,
you find out that like some people just set traps around.
Yeah,
and they set like a. It's like a tripwire grappling.
It's like an Ewok. It's like an industrial. Like if Jigsaw made an Ewok trap, that's what this is.
It's like a wire attached to the sidewalk that like wraps around. I think Zach Gilford's foot.
Yeah,
and he gets dragged like a little ways on the sidewalk.
And Zach Gilford's doing the thing where Frank Grillo's like, "We're going this way. We're going to do this," and he's like, "No, it's much faster to go." What?
Yeah. Oh God, it's a trap.
And it's like, idiot. You listen to Grillo.
And then like all these dudes come swarming like, someone got in the trap. Let's go. Man.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. I was like, fuck, people setting traps.
Yeah, it's like it makes like this crazy action sequence.
Oh, you know the other thing that I thought was crazy? Yeah. Like, so what I liked about this is like we get to see what the world is like outside during the Purge. And there's all these things that were like, oh shit, like I didn't think about someone doing that. There's a shot like for 2 seconds of a dude just like on top of the roof with a sniper rifle.
Oh no, it's like and like it's fucking gnarly. It's like especially and like after like for
I was
me,
like, what?
I was like that's so like sniper like lone gunman. Like it was like it was a little
just thinking that like
intense.
someone could be like you could be out trying to purge or whatever, and some dude could just be on the top of the skyscraper.
He specifically just
sniping.
cracks a beer and then just starts like fires 6 shots and like you can tell every one of them hits.
But then also hopefully there's
chilling.
a sniper right behind him just shooting him too.
By the way, we did talk last week, I think, right, with Pete about how we didn't really know what a class 4 weapon was, and he was like, it's basically so that people can't have nuclear bombs. But like I figured there'd be something more in between, but now we know it includes a Gatling gun.
Yeah,
it includes sniper rifles.
Although, does it include a Gatling gun? We don't know.
We don't know.
Sure.
That's true.
Based on things that come to light towards the end.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyways, there's a Gatling gun out there. That's the point.
Out in the world.
So.
Oh yeah, and we find that I think it's kind of a big reveal is that Big Daddy has like 5 of these semi trucks.
Yeah, and he's just like the main guy.
Yeah.
And they're out doing something nefarious.
So at some point we get the like Wall Street guy that's being hung. Right?
I liked this.
Yeah.
This was like one of the more true moments of the.
What did it say? It, like he took our pensions.
He took our pensions and now he killed him. So he's
dead.
He's not like a class 10 politician. So like it's somebody, but it made it clear that like everybody at the bank went and killed this guy and hung him up on his own bank, like he was a little scarecrow.
Yeah, because they're in like the banking district and they're like, oh, nobody comes here because the banks have everything insured.
Right, and then no, he says the banks take out all of their money, and
right.
like then where? And then my thought immediately went to, oh my god, guys. There could be an awesome Purge heist movie of wherever they take all the money because like everywhere purges, right? Like there's not a purge-free zone, and if there is, I want to see that movie. But I want to see all the money is in one place.
The rich people are probably just there, Uncle Scrooging it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
we get some of that.
This pension is so fluffy.
I didn't see it, but that actually could be the plot of Hurricane Heist.
It takes place during the Purge. I need to see that.
It's like a split type spoiler.
That would be
it's within the Purge.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
A movie could do it. Take the idea, executives.
So at some point, Ava convinces Frank Grillo that they should all go to her coworker Tanya's house because their family is like locked in, and she said they're happy to have us, and they've got a car that you can take to go get your revenge. And so he's like, okay,
yeah.
sweet.
Grillo's like I'm gonna leave you, and then like every time like something happens, he like protects them momentarily. He's like, I'm gonna leave, and then she's just like, look. Like, if you can get us there, like she's trying to get him to protect them because they know that if he leaves, then they're gonna die, and so that's a deal that makes sense because it gets him to his revenge quicker.
She's like, Grillo want car, Ava got car.
They know freaking now Gimpy, Matt Saracen's not gonna help them. He's already like half dead.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if it was at this point, but
no football for you.
I think it's somewhere between the financial district or before they get to the apartment. There's somebody who it's like this woman on the top of her building with an assault rifle, and she's almost a video game boss of like the shit that she's yelling, and it's awesome. Like, did anybody write down like?
I didn't write it down, but yeah, she's yelling.
She's like, I'm a one-woman wrecking machine.
Yeah,
but she's also like religious overtones where she's just like.
Yeah.
I will take on all you fucking motherfuckers.
Yeah. This is my God-given right.
Yeah, I think that was one of them. Yeah,
it was awesome. She had a bullhorn, and you could tell that like no one's gonna fuck with her tonight.
Nope. She's got the high ground.
Yeah. Why did you say that? God, that's so off topic.
That's how you get Darth Vader's.
Don't try it. I have the high ground. I think that's what she said on the video. Don't even try it.
Anyway, we make it to Tanya's house, and it's a nice Latino family. Abuela's practically there, serving them Mexican food, and everyone's happy and warm, and they're listening to music. And
we meet some new characters out of nowhere.
And Frank Grillo is like, okay, fine, but like, I don't know, like your friend Tanya is acting super weird, and he sees her taking a bunch of pills with booze, and he's like, ugh.
Yeah, she's super weird.
Yeah.
And then she starts dancing with the guy in army.
Her brother-in-law.
Her brother-in-law. Yeah. And like it does a good job of having weird vibes of like, it's like something's wrong here. And then Grillo's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking leave because
I got you here.
I got you here. And she's like, he checks like, okay, are you sure you want to stay here? Like, I don't trust the situation, but if you want, and she's like, you know what? She's my friend. She can get a little crazy, but everything will be fine. He's like, okay, give me the car. And she's like, yeah, no car.
Yeah, about
I just made that up.
I just made that up because I have a daughter to protect.
It's kind of weird, though, because they probably would have a car.
Yeah.
At least one of those people would have a car. It was like two parents and the two sisters and a brother-in-law and like all these people.
We don't know the economics of the Purge. Maybe
That's true.
Maybe they're all riding bird scooters.
Yeah, I mean,
also, LA has famously good public
oh
transportation.
yeah, you could totally live in LA without having a car,
especially if you're downtown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he basically he's like, you have no idea what you could have cost me, and it's like, I think we have a pretty good idea of what you're gonna do. It's no mystery.
I'm not feeling bad about lying to you right now. Yeah. I'm alive. Life is great.
So then the friend having fun with Camo Man.
Yep, they start dancing.
The lady from Jane the Virgin and One Day at a Time.
Yeah, I was like, I recognized her from One Day at a Time.
Yeah.
What's
she's
name?
been I don't know, Darcy.
Justina Machado.
Yeah. So she starts dancing with her brother-in-law and being like, "Mom, my sister doesn't care if I dance all hoey on your lap or whatever." And turns out the sister does care.
And shoots her in cold blood right in her own damn house. Yes.
But she does say that they've actually been sleeping together. It wasn't just because of the dancing.
Yeah. That would be funny. No one dances with my man. And her father's there like, you killed your own sister. What's wrong with you? And then,
so she's not going to give it up. She wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And so Grillo has to get involved.
Again.
Yeah.
Poor Grillo, God.
And
Grillo's can't catch a damn break.
Grillo's like grabbing him and stuff, and she's like, get away from him, he's mine.
He's mine.
I'm going to kill him myself.
Yeah.
That lady was crazy.
So Grillo shoots him in the leg, and then they just run outside.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they think they're safe, but no.
What?
They all get captured again.
Well, isn't there like some crazy long tunnel chase?
Yes,
sequence?
they run through the tunnels, which is obviously a homeless encampment, and you can tell that there is just a group of people that get in their dune buggies with flamethrowers and go down to the homeless camp and kill everybody.
I was kind of like, I felt like those people were pretty well hidden because it was so dark.
Yeah.
But the guys come chasing down there with their ATV or whatever and flamethrowers, and all the homeless people come running out of that like dark hole, like help! And I'm like, wouldn't you just stay there? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, they could have just all got burned to death too. Yep. I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, then everyone's running like fucking booking it because they're getting chased by these crazy like Mad Max type dudes, basically. And Zach Gilford and his wife, that's Shane and Liz, for those of you following along. They have guns, and Shane is like, we're not going to make it, and makes the smart decision.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have turned around to stop and shoot.
Like, they're running, and they make it clear that like they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
And then so like he turns around, like his leg's already fucked up, and he's just like, we're not going to make it. He pulls his wife over, or soon-to-be ex-wife.
For multiple reasons.
And he's like, you're not going to make it. Just shoot.
I'm going to use my really high-precision SMG to shoot this... shoot this.
So they basically get left behind and shoot the shit out of this dune buggy, and it ends up working.
They shoot the driver, and then they also like shoot
the gas tank for the flamethrower.
Yeah, the flamethrower gas tank, and it blows up, and it lets them get away.
But not before.
Yeah,
Shane more football reason too.
Shane gets shot in the chest or something.
Yeah,
and he's not looking too good. And now, as Elis said, they get captured.
They get captured, and they get
who?
brought on by more rich people.
They get captured
by the original people that were chasing.
Yeah, they get captured by Lakeith Stanfield.
I had trouble following all of these various.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy that was Lakeith Stanfield. I was like, what? I didn't know he was in this movie. But he's one of the original like skater gang guys, and it turns out that they're just like scooping up leftover people.
Well, yeah,
they find
you
on
don't
the
know.
street.
Like you've seen kind of what they're doing, and like they did a really good job of kind of getting these factions of like it had like a warriors element of like there's like these crazy like hobo killers, and then there's like people with the personal thing, and then there's like you don't know what like you've seen them put people in their truck, and they
they've
look
definitely been chasing
crazy
them.
enough, and then you've seen they showed in detail what happened to her father, where he basically sits in a fancy dining room that's covered like American Psycho style with plastic sheeting, and then this whole family picks up like machetes and chops them in half.
Yep. Fun.
So like you just like that's the civilized version of what like sacrifice they can make, and so you're like I don't like they're being kidnapped by these crazy faced people. Like who the fuck knows is what they're gonna do. Turns out sell them to rich people.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're like, don't kill us, please. And they're like, we're not going to kill you. We're just making money.
It's
off
about
of
money.
You guys.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
They auction off people they capture to the rich people, and then the rich people get to play the most dangerous game in a set, basically.
Yeah, it was crazy. So they like set them down in front of this curtain or whatever, and it opens up, and it's like this fancy dinner theater full of people, and they're all like, "Look at what we have for you tonight!" That kind of thing.
It's even a little bit like Lynchian of just like it's kind of surreal of like all of they look like wax figure.
Yeah, totally. It's like the super done up like
Yeah.
rich white lady, and she's playing like the auctioneer role. And at first I was like. She was like, "Let's start the bidding or whatever at 100,000 or something," and then it's just people raising. I was like, "She's not doing
these people don't know how to auction."
Yeah, she's not doing the auction right. And then I was like, "Oh, people are just buying into the like kill floor or whatever." So there's all these funny shots of people being like, "I'm going to raise their hand," and then he's like, "Oh, the Warren sisters."
Yeah, they've got names.
I assume you'll be bringing your signature blades. They like look at each other like,
And they're like oh, like Mr. Tilford, his two youngest, they'll be participating in their first purge.
yeah. And then you hear like this hilarious voiceover of them going like, "Yeah, you want to do it? Okay, yeah, let's do it. Yes, yeah, yeah, it'll be fun." And it's like, so they gather like these 5 families or whatever.
Let's murder these poros.
Yeah. And they're like, "All right, we'll see you in the next room. Let the games begin," kind of thing. And so it turns out they put them in this like laser tag room, basically. And
Complete with creepy mannequins.
yeah, there's like the lights are all off. All the people who paid to be in there have night vision goggles.
What they call night vision goggles, but they're actually like predator vision goggles.
Yeah, totally. That's true. And then they just each get to grab their own weapons. Oh, I love the shot of, or I love the like really gross description of the gun that old lady gives.
She's describing it like it's a dinner. Like,
Yeah, and it was like so weirdly sexual.
Prepare like it's been.
It has such a nice grip, and the release of it is so amazing.
The perfect finish.
Yeah.
But Frank Grillo is not going to go down without a fight. So
he says, "Stay here," and the daughter's like, "You gonna leave us?" and then he's like, "Stay here, I'll be back." They have night vision, which I don't know how he knows this, but he knows that they have night vision. He's like, "If we can't see, we die." And it's like, it's one of those things that he says, you're like, oh, it makes him sound like really smart and badass. And it's like, yeah.
So he starts like methodically taking out like 3 of the people.
He solid snakes around,
stealing their glasses. And I love all the shots. Like every time one of the like rich people dies, it cuts up to everyone else who's watching in this like observation
the gallery.
booth, and they're like, "Oh dear." Yeah, they're like, "My pearls." No. Not Timmy. Jonathan, who will manage the hedge fund? Wilbur, no. Reginald.
But they don't
Johnny
intervene.
Thompson.
They do not intervene, which I guess is important.
No, they don't intervene, but the very next thing that happens after they kill about like 5 of the people, and then old lady grandma in the blue dress is like, "I've had enough of this shit," and she's like, "We need help." and they're like,
all of the weight.
Yes, that's what I said. They're like, "Send in the waiters with the guns." Because they're all like in tuxedos.
They send in the wait staff with guns.
They'll be better than Johnny Thompson, who's already dead.
Yep. I did like the scene where Grillo sees in the Predator vision glasses, like them all watching, and he immediately just tries to shoot all of them with his machine gun.
Unfortunately, it's bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
Yes, so they send in all the waiters. Wait staff.
Send in the weights.
Send in the weights. And they suck just as much because they get flanked by someone else who's coming in. Send in the anarchists.
Yeah. The Purge is the story of that there's always a bigger fish.
Exactly. The anarchists are like, no, this is our purge.
And
they're there for the riches.
So we get, Michael K. Williams.
And the Bloody Stranger.
Yeah.
He's back.
Bloody Stranger.
Edwin Hodge as the Stranger. Who was in the first one, if you forgot that already.
Mm-hmm.
The titular Bloody Stranger.
Yeah, he's become one of the rebels with Carmelo Johns, and they are there to take down these rich people.
I don't remember. I'm sorry, what's the daughter's name again?
Her name
Callie.
is...
Callie.
Yeah.
Callie is very nonviolent. Her whole thing is she's trying to stop Grillo from doing what he's doing, and I got the impression early on in the movie that was Carmelo's philosophy, that it was a non-violent, like the Purge is bullshit. It's not okay to kill. It's not okay to do that. And that was the impression that I got. But at this moment, they come in with a bunch of machine guns and kill a whole lot of people.
Yeah, maybe he was just waiting to finally know where the rich people have their rituals and
maybe
take them out. I don't know.
You shouldn't have the Purge, but it's okay to kill a bunch of rich people so that we can get rid of the Purge.
I see.
Obviously.
Duh. That makes so much sense.
should stop the cycle of violence.
I do like it when he yelled out, get ready to bleed, rich bitches. This is our time now.
Yeah. He goes, fuck you, fuck your mother, and motherfuck the Purge. I wrote that down, too. So that gives everybody the chance to escape our main group of characters.
Not everybody.
But, Shane has been dying this whole time.
Yeah.
And his wife...
He gets shot again, doesn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And his wife, Liz, is like, I'm going to stay here with him. For some reason.
No, she says, I'm going to purge.
Yeah, she joins the anarchists. Yeah, she picks up a gun and joins the anarchists.
Yeah, no, he's like,
she probably dies.
She's like, I'm going to purge. No, the bloody stranger says, we'll take care of her. And it's like, really? You'll take it? How? Okay. Do you have a bulletproof bubble that you're going to put over her?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Hey, he's already survived one movie, so...
I mean, I guess Purge Night, staying there with a bunch of guns going with him, fair chances you're going to die.
Yeah. So
Frank Grillo finally leaves with the mom and the daughter.
Yeah, there's a fun scene
where
leave
us?
Are you gonna leave us? There's a fun scene when they're grabbing a car in the parking garage where they catch the old lady and her husband, I guess, trying to escape.
Oh, right.
And they decide not to kill them and let them leave, right? But they take their car.
Yeah.
But there's a fun delete. I don't know if anyone watched the deleted scenes.
Yeah.
So you see in the movie, you see them escape out the side door, and that's all you see. Okay, they went off into the night. Whatever.
Right.
In the deleted scenes, you see that they escape out that side door and start running down the alley, and then all of a sudden, these dudes show up behind them with 3 dogs on leash, and they sick these dogs on.
Oh
them.
my god!
And they get bolted.
Yep, they get killed by dogs.
That's
which I was like, why would you cut that out?
I know, it was great. They should have left that in.
Death by dog. Death by dog.
Too much on the rich people in this one. Let them have a break. They need to buy tickets.
No, it was the executive being like, "Hey, I'm a rich white person.
I'm a rich. I don't want to be a wait."
I definitely don't want to be killed by a dog.
Yeah. So I thought that was the best deleted scene out of all the boring other deleted scenes.
Was it more Grillo looking down the sights?
No, it was more white couple talking about their troubles.
Or they did have the scene where she asked for a raise in more detail, and there was one that was a deleted scene of the credits stinger. That was kind of funny, I guess, where it would be Carmelo being like, "War's begun. Your money can't stop us now." He was going to yell out something after the credits. Yeah.
So we learned that there's maybe 2 hours left in the Purge.
Yes.
And he still has time to go do what he was going to do at the start, which was
kill the man who killed his son in a drunk driving accident.
That's right. That's right, which is a pretty good reason.
The guy killed his son, and he was rich enough to afford a good defense and did not end up in jail. And he sleeps with his family every night, and Grillo cannot abide that.
I feel like this is a plot of like 85 different movies and TV shows, though. Like, I can't name one right now, but I feel like there's so many times where it's like, this drunk driver killed my someone, and they got away, and now I get to kill them. Maybe, I don't know.
I do.
He was a sleepy driver. M. Night Shyamalan.
I do like that it does give him like it's not a morally clean cut. Like because of this movie, they could have given him a cartoon reason to kill this guy.
But if you're like a normal dude who's thinking about purging, like that might be a pretty good way to justify it to yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it would be justified in general, but. If you were in that situation, you might be like, "Hey, I can get some revenge."
And they don't do a flashback. They rely on Grillo to act it out and tell the story.
Tells the story, and the women are just kind of like, "All right, fine, do it." Like, and they let him go.
I'm over it. Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, they stay in the car.
No, we'll sit here while you purge. I'm good. Yeah,
but you're hot, so we want to see what happens to you after. Yeah. I want you to be my daughter's new father.
Are you gonna leave us?
I know. There were a couple weird times where I felt like the daughter was like
the love interest.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah,
I was like,
ugh.
Who's gonna falling in love with here? I don't know. But yeah, so he goes in and wakes up the dude and his wife in their bed while they're asleep.
Yeah,
and tosses him across the room pretty brutally.
Proceeds to manhandle him.
Yeah,
and then put a knife up to his eye.
Yeah. And then you see a cut to him walking out looking pretty relaxed.
The sun is out.
Yeah. Grillo is coming out of the house and he's got blood on him.
The Purge, you see a cut of a TV, the Purge is ending in 5 minutes, I believe.
Yeah. And everything's like, all right, he did it. And then he gets attacked by
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Still there.
He just basically pops out of the truck and shoots him. And then as Frank Grillo is, I guess, dying or bleeding, he gives a big old exposition dump.
We learn what was behind what he was doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty fucked up.
Money.
Yeah, so we learned that, throughout these films, we've been seeing all this stuff on the news like, oh, the Purge works wonders, like the poverty rate has been down so low, and there's like, everyone has jobs, the unemployment rate is like crazy low, and it's all because of the Purge. Mm-hmm. And we learn from Big Daddy that that's all a lie, kind of.
It's not working fast enough.
Yeah, basically,
not enough people want to kill each other.
Yeah, the decent human beings of the world aren't fucking out there doing the Purge, and so they hire someone like him, or I don't know if he's working for the new Founding Fathers or what.
Yep.
But they go out and kill a bunch of people.
They basically go they're kill squads that go into ghettos.
They supplement the Purge.
And kill people.
Yep. Which I thought was super fucked up.
Yep.
So,
but a great twist for the story.
I would have liked it to be revealed differently, though. I think the big exposition dump was kind of eh. But anyways, the drunk driver guy, turns out he's not dead because he runs out and kills Big Daddy.
Well, we just see him get shot first, and I was like, oh, like they saved him from the car. And then, like, because they're still there.
Yeah.
And so it was a surprise when it was like, he didn't kill him. Oh, the guy feels bad about it.
I wasn't that surprised.
Yeah. And then, the drunk driver guy drives Frank Grillo to the hospital. Mm-hmm. Right?
Which I was like, all right, here's something I'm very excited to see.
He drunk drives him to the hospital. Well, I'll get you there.
It's like, so the Purge ends, and they're going straight to the hospital. I'm like, okay, the line at this hospital has to be insane right after the Purge ends. And go ahead.
No, there's one more thing I was going to say before we get to the very end here. That whole scene ends with them like about to get killed by the military goons from Big Daddy, because they're like, oh, you killed our dude, we're gonna kill you,
right?
And like right when they're about to like pull the trigger, the siren for the Purge thing goes off, and I was like, would people really stop as soon as that siren goes off? Because like who is even around there to know if you killed someone like a second after the Purge siren went off?
Hey, they've got morals, okay?
I guess.
You gotta have rules or it's gonna be complete anarchy.
You gotta go to Purge. You gotta go to Purge court. It's like, oh, I did shoot him, but my watch was slow.
Yeah, but
My hearing aid was out.
I thought that was kind of unbelievable. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
So I got excited because I wanted to know the logistics of what the hospital looks like right after the Purge ends.
Yeah.
And I was pretty disappointed. Like, they just roll up and they just walk him right in. I appreciated that they had other cars. Like, it seemed like they had just gotten there and they had a few cars pulling in.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's people that I'm sure are like we'll get there, we'll get right in the hospital. Like, there's going to be a line of bodies. Like, just like that. There's nobody there is hilarious.
The one thing I kind of liked about that ending shot is like they have it's like the front of the hospital, and then you can see like a street of just like what just looked like everyday cars just going by, like everyone's back to their lives, and then in the background you see like the city's like
on
burning and stuff, and it's just crazy to think like how in this world this is just such a normal thing. Like the next day everyone's like back to work.
Well, they try
and
to
the
sell
world
that
is on fire
with how casual everyone is about getting home before the Purge.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we need bananas. All right, we got time.
Totally. Gotta get those batteries. I don't know. And that's pretty much how it ends, right?
Yeah.
We get another thing that says like 364 days till the next Purge.
Yep.
And then we get an amazing song at the end.
What was it? I didn't even notice.
The EDM remix of America the Beautiful. You guys remember this?
It was so bad.
It's like I started laughing because it's like it's seriously like this angelic choir, like America, America, God shed His grace on, just like that. And then I was like, this is hilarious. I don't know.
So one thing that I've noticed now in both movies, so the name Callie, like spelled like California Callie. So the Asian neighbor was named Mr. Callie in the first one, and then her name is Callie, the daughter, in this one. And there's a doctor, I forget her first name, Dr. Callie, listed in the special thanks of the first one. And there's two people named Callie listed in the special thanks of this one. So basically, I figured out that the director, what was his name again?
Joe. Hold on. No, James DeMonico.
James DeMonico. So his wife, I believe, is Dr. someone Callie, and she is a psychologist, and they named their daughter Callie DeMonico, I think. So, and so he's been naming people after them in each movie. So we'll see who he names after them in the third one.
That's awesome.
It's the same director, right?
Yep.
I believe so. Sweet. So we've reached
the end of Anarchy.
The end of Anarchy. Everything's normal. The Purge happened.
Do you feel cleansed?
Survived.
I feel better.
You feel cleansed?
Yeah, I feel better. I feel like the violence and aggression has left my body.
Yeah.
So how many Gatling gun semi-trucks would you give this film, Tyler? Out of 10.
I enjoyed this one more than the first one. Definitely had an Escape from New York vibe to it that was fun. You could definitely see the seams, what was happening, but I didn't mind because again, it gets back to just the idea is so, like we said last time, man, it's in the zeitgeist. It's so easily understandable. And this movie almost feels like they just had a whiteboard of like, all right, Purge things that could happen. All right, we like these 5. How do we who would be the primary character in these? All right, cool. Let's get those 4 people in a car. Our job here is done.
Get them from A to B.
Yep. So I will give it 7 Gatling trucks.
Sweet. Elis?
I don't remember what I gave the first one, but I liked this one less, actually, because it was more just kind of like dark, driving around, kind of faceless violence that I had trouble tracking, I guess. So I will give it 6 trucks full of Gatling guns.
That's still pretty high.
I believe we both gave it 7s, the last one.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I gave The Purge a 6. I also like this one better because, I mean, the one thing I wanted to see was what it's like on the streets of The Purge, and
it definitely had a video game feel. Like it had here's a small thing that has an idea of like this type of person would be doing this, right? Like, all right, like.
And I thought, yeah, there's some, like, people certainly do dumb things in this movie too, but I felt like the dumb things that happened in the first movie are just way worse as far as like decisions people make.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed this one better, and it was just fun to see some of the different sides of like what rich people are doing in the Purge. And I really like Frank Grillo. I thought he was a pretty charismatic lead.
I think I probably would have liked it more if they just got rid of the white people and focused on the mom and the daughter and Frank Grillo. Because I think that's what I kind of missed from the first one, is more of that like character study, I guess. Like, what would people really do in this situation? But this one had just more characters, so there was less time for that.
It was more of a like on the run kind of thing. Yeah. But I dug it. I would give it also 7 Gatling semis out of 7. I mean 10. That didn't mean I gave it a 10 out of 10.
So the end of this one really seems to be like begging for another sequel. Kind of leaving it hanging. So the next one is called The Purge Election Year.
Yeah, and I've already seen this one, so I'm going to duck out of the predictions round. But what do you guys think?
remember the trailer for this
I remember trailers and marketing and stuff, because this was very recent, obviously. It came out actually during the election year, right?
Yeah.
So,
2016, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So it's going to be about America making the wrong choice.
Well, maybe because it's like a fantasy, like in the movie they'll do the right thing.
I don't know.
I do remember that we're going to get one of our favorite actresses back.
I wonder who it could be. You guys are going to have to listen next week.
Yes.
So I think, that's probably going to bring us to the end of our Purge Anarchy episode. Tune in next week for the Purge election year.
But keep listening to this episode, because we're going to play our interview with Nathan Whitehead, the composer.
Right. And before we do that, Elis, where can people get in touch with us if they want to, shoot us a question, tell us what they would want to do?
Please email us, sequelrights@gmail.com. We do need suggestions for more franchises, because this one's going to be wrapping up pretty quick here.
Yeah.
You can also reach out to us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @sequelrights.
It's funny how a franchise with 4 entries feels so
short.
Thanks, Tremors.
Everything's long after Tremors, a cold day in hell.
Yes.
And please also rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it. And now enjoy this interview.
Well, we are very excited to be here now with film composer Nathan Whitehead, who has worked on the entire Purge series so far. Nathan, thank you so much for being here.
Of course, my pleasure.
Can you just kind of like start out by giving us a little background on yourself? How did you get into composing? What brought you to the franchise? Anything like that?
Sure. I grew up in Tennessee, playing in a punk band, which Tennessee was not exactly a hotspot for punk bands, but that's what was going on. So you started as a guitar player, and the band, this was like high school band, never. That's pretty much it. But it did introduce me to a recording studio, and that was kind of a powerful experience. This idea of being in this, laboratory making music and recording music, and I realized that was sort of more appealing than like being a front man and performing. Although I do miss that a little bit. So I got excited about working in the studio, and then in college it sort of clicked. I love being in a studio. I tended to lock myself away in the studio for days at a time, just because I loved it. I loved movies. and I loved writing from an early age too, which to the detriment of my performing chops. I would learn 3 chords and immediately start writing music, which is why I gravitated toward punk. But so I always loved, trying to come up with my own melody or my own song. As soon as I could play 2 notes on the piano or anything on guitar. So I'm not exactly sure why that is. But that's the way it was. And so in college, this all kind of was crystallizing. And wait a minute, so I can be in the studio, which I love, kind of being an introvert like some composers are. And I can work in movies and in storytelling type scenarios. And that was this light bulb that, oh man, this would be amazing. And then, thinking about influential movies from my childhood, and the 1989 Batman and huge list of scores and movies that changed my life. So kind of it occurring to me that people did this. This was a job, and it just felt like it felt like the perfect job. It felt like the dream job. It still feels like the dream job. So I graduated college in Tennessee, and I guess I stayed there for a year or so after college, then headed to LA. I had an unpaid internship, at a sound design company, actually. But came to LA, and then it was kind of this, everyone has their own path.
Yeah. And
mine is the grind it out as an assistant path. And everything has pros and cons. You can become a rock star and make a lateral move into film composing or something. But so yeah, I did lots. I worked as an assistant at a sound editorial company actually for several years, moonlighting as a composer, and eventually I started doing assistant work for other composers. The first main job came through a Craigslist ad, actually.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That eventually I wound up through meeting other composers and doing anything and everything for them, sometimes arranging, sometimes fixing their computer, sometimes bringing them soup, you name it. I did. I became Steve Jablonski's assistant, who I was a big fan of his music before I even, from day one, really, of his career. And that led to, I started writing on a show he was doing called Desperate Housewives, and then, I would be doing more writing on his projects than assistant stuff, working on Transformers 3. That all led to me meeting Brad Fuller and Drew Form from Platinum Dunes, a company they run with Michael Bay. I mean, maybe it's Michael Bay's company, but Steve has a good relationship with those guys. And The Purge, as you know, Blumhouse, they do smaller budget movies, and especially the first Purge, when it was just this idea completely unproven, was particularly low budget. And Steve was doing Transformers movies at that point. So he facilitated that introduction, and there was still, people sending demos and things, but eventually they called me to do that movie, and no one guessed that it would do what it did. Huge business and spawn at least 4 movies and a TV series so far.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's everyone has that crazy kind of path to getting to their first major thing.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's kind of cliche, but it's kind of true. Just like the overnight success that takes 10 years. Some people are the overnight, but for me, it was really the 10 years.
Yeah, who's this new guy, Nathan Whitehead?
Right.
So,
all right, sorry, Liz. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. We were wondering, like, when in the process of development for The Purge that you were brought in, and, like, what kind of research did you do to prepare?
For the first Purge, it was really fast. I think, I'm not really sure what went on behind the scenes, but I think there maybe another composer was considered before me. Whatever happened, when the time came, I had a little less than 3 weeks to do the score.
Wow.
And I did not have the luxury of reading the script. So it was, I had prepared some music. I sent this demo in to the producers, and they called me on a Friday, and I went to the cutting room like 8 p.m. that Friday night and watched the movie. And that was the first I knew of the story. So it was like, come in. I don't have a clue what it's about. It wasn't called The Purge at that time. And I watched the movie, and then James, writer and director, he comes in. He's like, "What'd you think?" So it was a situation where there was no opportunity for research, really, because it just happened extremely fast. So I did my best not to kind of sound like an idiot and say something intelligent about his movie. But the thing that helped with that was that I actually liked the movie. Yeah. And so I just told him what I thought, and I don't even it's weird. I remember leaving that screening thinking, okay, it seemed like I'm going to get this job. But there wasn't, it's been a while ago. Yeah, it was weird. I guess the post supervisor did call me and say, "You're hired." But I started writing that weekend immediately. It's like, that was Friday night, finished the movie. It's like 10 o'clock. I just went to the studio immediately Saturday morning and started writing. But then, we didn't actually talk about, okay, you're hired. But that's good because I already have some stuff going. And just because, it was a big project for me at the time, even having no idea that it was going to be a big success. It was a big project. And so I was very keen to kind of get a jump on it and make sure I didn't blow it. So that's how that happened. Super fast. And then 3 weeks later, the score was just basically done.
That's awesome. I'm interested, with your work on the Purge films. They all kind of have like a focus, especially the first one, on like family and some like real emotional stakes more than some horror movies you might see out there. And I'm interested, like, how you balanced the need for like tension and horror elements in the score, and also like moments where you need to pull at the heartstrings and be more emotional.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that sort of helped those moments is that they were rare. And you probably hear this from other composers. A lot of times we put too much music in movies. Not all the time, but I think a lot of times we do put too much music in movies. And there was in the Purges, I think, especially in the genre, a lot of score mostly serves it well. And so these did have a lot of music, but those moments, those emotional moments were rare. And so I think that made it easier to do something simple, and which is often, I think, more compelling. The first Purge had just like a couple really sparse piano notes. Sometimes, I can't ultimately judge how effective it is, but I can only kind of go by whether it feels good to me in the moment. And so sometimes in the first Purge, we could do, like playing one piano note. So you have no information about the harmony, really. at least in the piano, you have one note, and it's not a melody, but kind of in this sea of like tension and fear and menace, a well-placed piano note, I think, can do a lot. And that was fun. It was very challenging, but it was cool because I feel those really simple things, a few piano notes, sometimes one piano note, just a brief introduction of strings, in contrast to the rest of the movie and the rest of the score, really like brought us into that moment, hopefully. But I feel like contrast is so powerful, whether it's choosing your spots for silence, and in this case it was kind of these little islands of emotion, but it was also challenging just because they aren't movies that really called for big melodies, so it didn't seem right to come up with a tune that develops and can pay off and things like that later. Right. So it still had that was definitely the challenge of it, is because they are sort of, it's not happening all the time. Largely we need to kind of, pull people into a lot of the fear and the terror and the darkness of Purge night. So these emotional moments ideally will still sound like the Purge score, still sound like they belong in the Purge movie, but somehow be an emotional moment that is in the world of the Purge. I'm
curious. You've worked on quite a few horror films, and with the Purge too. I'm curious, like, what it's like working for however many months or weeks writing all this really dark music. Like, does it kind of like put you in a weird headspace, or is it like cathartic to get that out or something? I don't know.
No, it's a good question. I do get that question sometimes. It's weird, I don't know. Maybe I may not be equipped to assess what I'm subjecting myself to. My wife is actually a psychologist, but she doesn't try to use her powers on me. I'm not in a dark place.
That's good.
I think I don't feel like in a dark place when I'm working on the movies. Eventually, often, there are certainly stressful days with just the deadlines and all of that, but I think there's for me, there's something in common with almost any project. And one is the people you're working with, and that is a huge one, is kind of, if the filmmaking team feels good, and it's kind of this environment where everyone is encouraged to throw ideas out there. And then we talk about things, and some work and some don't, and we're really working these storytelling problems out together. I love that. Versus, say, just they've cut in a temp score and they want me to match that as closely as possible. That's never as satisfying. So right. I was fortunate on the Purge movies. It was wonderful working with James DeMonico, and I've done 6 movies for Blumhouse now, and one thing that I love is, in my experience, they really let their directors direct, versus maybe kind of the too many cooks in the kitchen thing or whatever, having a lot of different people chiming in. They really, I think they facilitate their directors hunkering down with their team to make this movie, and it felt like that. And also, producer Sebastian Mercier was, him and James go way back. So that was really, it was fun. It was creatively challenging. Yes, the subject matter was really dark, But we also talk about a lot of neat things. I mean, in a lot of ways, I certainly thought of it this way. I think James, I think they did some as well. You know, I don't think of the Purges as glorifying violence, which might be a weird thing to say. Mm-hmm. I think in some ways, they're attempting to hold up a mirror to us. They're in trying to make some statements about that are so relevant about class inequality. How far will we go? Mm-hmm. For our way of life. Will we not think about the homeless person? Will we avoid driving by the homeless person? Will you kill the homeless person?
Right.
Think about it. Now, I don't that there's still a lot of people cheering when there's like a spectacular kill in the Purge movies. So I guess all of that, the relationship with James and the team, it felt strangely positive. And there's this satisfaction of when you feel like, okay, this is starting to sound like our movie, and taking that ownership. I feel like, yeah, this is my movie to some degree, and kind of finding that tone and that, I think when I finish a piece of music and it just feels like it belongs on that scene, to me, that's the best I can do, I feel like. And then usually if it feels that way to me, it's probably at least in the ballpark for the team. That whole trusting your gut thing. And I think that, to me, that's a very satisfying process, whether it's a dark movie like The Purge or whether it was my time on Desperate Housewives back in the day, or I did this movie Killing Hasselhoff that was crazy and weird. So it's like it's fun, when it's not like 3 a.m. and you're feeling the pressure of having to deliver this, final cue of the movie the next day. Those are stressful moments, but overall it's fun. And to me, it feels like being in this dark world the whole time.
Okay.
It wasn't as dark as people think it would be.
That's good.
Yeah.
So throughout the franchise, do you have any favorite scenes or a certain theme that you're really fond of?
Yeah, I do. And it's interesting because the movies are sort of more anthology than direct continuation of the storyline. Frank Grillo did play the same character in 2 and 3, but so we don't have themes that carry over from movie to movie, and they're subtle. But in Purge 1, I loved the opening cue. Well, the cue when James Sandon, Ethan Hawke's character, is driving home. I loved that cue. I just felt like it was a cool. Well, what I liked about it, to me, it felt a little bit futuristic. It felt a little bit dark. It didn't, and it did not feel like a horror score. And I think as these movies have gone on, they're more. I certainly feel that it's more action thriller sort of situation than horror, direct horror. And the small piano kind of ornamentation in the first Purge, I really liked those moments. Second Purge was so much bigger, so it was fun, just kind of having like aerial shots of the city and just kind of having such a bigger scale. That cue would probably be when the Purge commences in Purge Anarchy. It's like kind of this rising, distorted tone for most of the cue. But I think it did the trick, and then it kicks in with some aggression, some heavy percussion. I always liked how that turned out.
Yeah.
Purge 3 was challenging. And I mean, I don't know, probably my favorite, I don't know, everyone, spoilers probably don't matter at this point, but there's an emotional cue at the end of the movie that I really liked. I was happy with how that turned out. It's probably my favorite spot. A lot of times I'm liking the emotional parts. Those feel, I don't know, they're fun. It's fun when you pull it off. They've all generally had a period of frustration trying to get it right. So there'll be this back and forth, but then it's great when it kind of clicks.
Nice.
Yeah,
I was going to say that I kind of love how with each subsequent film you've kind of like expanded the sound palette of the score, and like I would say one of my favorite cues from election year is Sirens. Like it's kind of one of the ones that goes bigger than anything we've heard in the previous movies.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, if that was like a goal that you set for yourself, like each subsequent Purge film, are you setting goals to try to like try out new sounds or expand, what you're working with?
Those decisions aren't really leading the process. I think that is. I agree that they've gotten kind of bigger and crunchier and darker. Like you said, the palette has expanded with each movie, but it was just the process of trying to attempting to do what the story needed and talking to James, and thinking a little bit about the previous movies, and not wanting to underwhelm or, ideally in a perfect situation, everyone's creative output just gets better as we age, as we work. It doesn't always happen that way, but so there's some motivation to like, okay, we've got to build on what we had before, and so by definition, it's kind of going to be expanded in some way. But it was mostly just talking to James and trying to get each moment to feel like it needed to feel. And Sirens, like Commencement in Anarchy, there's those 2 and 3 especially. I feel like when the Purge started, there was just much more of this weighty, oh shit, this is happening. When this siren is over, I can put a gun to somebody's head, and our government says that's fine. Which is a great. I love that statement right there. As we talk, there's so much political discussion. It's hard to get away from it if you want to. And when we're talking about our rights, I think it's fascinating to imagine what if we had the right, according to our government, to do that. And I think so. Both of those spots, I feel like James wanted to ratchet up how crazy it was about to get. And so it was always working. We worked on Commencement a lot in Anarchy, and we had a lot of back and forth. Even though it's essentially it's this growing kind of distorted tone. It is this weird sound, synth sound that we started calling the robot voice as we're working on the movie. And some massive hits, and it's very crunchy. It's kind of this almost like music concrete sort of thing. But we went back and forth on it for a long time. And just does it feel like it's ramping up enough? Does it feel scary enough? Does it feel foreboding enough? So that's cool that you like it, because it took a long time to do.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's
Thank you.
It's great
Thank
to get
you.
you like you said, you're about to go to the Purge. It's about to happen. It's great, like pump up crazy music. Yeah, it's awesome.
So
Cool.
So coming up now with the first Purge, which is the fourth movie, but
Yes.
it's a prequel, which is a little confusing, I guess. So yeah,
Right.
for that prequel, since we talked about how all three of the movies kind of escalated with the music, since this is going back to the beginning,
Right.
was your process different in developing this one? Is there going to be any quotes to what's going to come up in the future of the timeline, technically?
Okay. So, I didn't know. I assumed, I guess, that you guys knew this, but I didn't know. But I'm not scoring the fourth Purge.
Oh, dang it!
Man.
I didn't see it in your IMDb, but I saw it like somewhere else that said you were.
No, you're right. It is floating out there somewhere.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Apologize. No, I mean, your whole podcast is about sequels, so. But hey, I don't know where this will go, but one, this is part of the process in sequels oftentimes. So, the first Purge is directed by Gerard McMurray, and he has a relationship with his composer. And while it is sad to say goodbye to the Purge world, at least for now, its composer-director relationship is essentially what I've been talking about, and it's a special thing.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So it is the business I'm in. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't hurt a little bit to move on, but at the same time, I really respect that relationship, and I get to do something that I've never done before, and that's be an uninitiated audience member in a Purge movie. What this does for your guys' podcast, I'm not sure.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, I should have researched it a little bit more, but I did see, I saw some article that said you were doing it, so my bad.
I think it is floating out there somewhere, but I don't know how to get rid of that. I think maybe Wikipedia says it. And I shouldn't have assumed. I thought.
No, it's totally
Woman White
fine.
Bear
We
doesn't
still
know.
definitely we're still going to do an episode on all of the movies, so we're thrilled to talk to you.
Yeah.
In a
thank
different way then. So you mentioned for the very first movie, The Purge, that you were brought in super late on the process. So for the next two, were you able to come in earlier? And then did that lead to any cool collaborations with the rest of the creative team, or any cool moments since you had more time the other two times?
Yeah, I mean, I did start earlier, which was great. I think, deadlines are definitely useful, but I think there's a sweet spot a lot of times. And like 2.5 weeks, that's not the sweet spot. Two and a half years, probably not the sweet spot either. So having 7 to 9 weeks or so to do it was pretty good. May have had a little bit more than that on Purge 2. Purge 2 may have been 3 months. It's awesome. On Purge 1, I just had to sprint, and there wasn't a lot of time to sleep on it. There wasn't a lot of time to sleep, period, really. And then on Purge 2, I remember I wrote a few suites just to explore sounds, explore tone, and that was an awesome luxury to have, and kind of try to get some DNA together that the score can kind of grow out of. And then for 2 and 3, I also recorded string orchestra, which there was no time or budget to do on the first one. And I mean, in my opinion, all of that elevated the music.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully the movie. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, so what is the next project you're working on? What can we look forward to hearing next?
Video game, a PlayStation game. I don't think I can actually say what it is. It's floating around out there, but I do see it on your IMDb page, but I didn't put it there, so I feel. but that is accurate.
Okay. Well, I won't say what it is.
It's basically announced, but. So yeah, just finished that up. It comes out next year, I think February 22nd. They just said this week. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to talk about that more freely. And I'm excited. That was a whole nother process of writing 2.5 hours of music for a video game. That was, thankfully we had a much longer chunk of time to do it in. So that'll be out in February, and there are a couple other things, that I can't share at the moment. I will as soon as I can.
Awesome.
While we're on that subject, I'm just curious, for the video game, you have to write something that somebody could ostensibly be listening to for ages on end, looping. Is that right? How do you kind of figure out how to do that?
Well, it's cool. I mean, it's a PlayStation 4 game, and so it's kind of amazing what the consoles can do now. Mm-hmm. Straight up looping, thankfully, isn't happening so much anymore, and it does kind of change what I have to write. So I'll write a piece of music that has maybe 2 or 3 intensity layers. So maybe it's like the aggressive percussion and guitars are a layer or something, or there are distorted strings that are a layer or something like that, or just another string part that's a layer. And so then the game engine will, when you encounter danger, it can basically turn on the intensity layer, whatever layer you're looking for. And the cool thing is it can even like do it on a musical beat, so there doesn't have to be an awkward crossfade, or it doesn't have to be a bad edit. So that's kind of cool. And then same thing, like if you're ending like the phase of some objective, this game, there's a lot of riding a motorcycle, and so there's kind of road music, and then you get off your bike, and we recorded these transitions, so a piece of music that essentially might extend 10 or 20 seconds after you are, you're kind of done with the bike part, and then it hopefully, the natural musical way, crossfades you into the next piece, or just kind of seamlessly vanishes, sort of like you were scoring at the picture. So I haven't gotten to play the whole game yet, but there's a lot of cool stuff like that. But it's definitely a process of taking my 2.5 hours of music and then separating it all out into different food groups, and then a big team of editors stitching it together in the game in such a way that all that can happen. And sometimes the music plays just the way it was when I wrote it, and then sometimes maybe they leave out the percussion, and that changes the feel, but it makes it more appropriate for a conversation that's happening or something like that. So a lot of crazy stuff going on under the hood, but I think it's cool, and I think it's making it much more immersive and natural feeling than the days of like it literally just looped for 20 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had one more question about the Purge that I just remembered. I was listening to the soundtrack earlier today, and I was noticing a lot of the titles of the tracks. And so I was wondering, like, are you the one that gets to write those? Or, because, like, I noticed some of them were kind of, like, funny lines from the movie. Like, I think I was saying why would someone need a car on a boat or stuff like that? So are you involved in that part of it?
For better or for worse, the titles come from me. on the soundtracks.
Nice.
And I just loved, I loved that line.
Yeah.
Why do you need a car on a boat? It was like, you know, it was a perfect little nugget of excess. How about, anyway, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
So I think to wrap things up here a little bit, I think the question everyone's going to really be wondering is, are you still writing punk songs on the side?
Oh, man. You know, I'm not, and I kind of wish I was.
Right?
It's been a while since I've written a punk song, but I do get to pick up the guitar from time to time.
That's great.
For the scoring gigs. So that is nice, including on the video game. There's actually a lot of guitars in that.
Oh, sweet.
But maybe in the future, I've been itching to do something that's not, you know, score related.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Nathan, just wanted to say thank you again so much for being here with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast with us.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me. It's great to talk to you guys, and hope we can do it again.
Yeah, and you know, if anyone wanted to keep in touch with you, follow what projects you're working on, where's the best place for people to follow along?
The best place is probably my website, nathanwhitehead.com. Twitter and Instagram, I'm on there. I'm not always the most social media user, but certainly when it comes to projects, those wind up on Instagram and Twitter. Facebook is probably, I visit that the least, but it's on there too. But yeah, Nathan Whitehead Twitter, Nathan Whitehead Facebook, and then my website are probably the best spots.
Great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Likewise. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.